Yes, guys, welcome back to the Once You're In podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. This is going to be a Q&A episode. Yeah, well, they're in. They're in, mate.
You can't leave now, guys.
We know if they're in for the first 3 seconds, they're stuck. So, yeah, Q&A episode. We've got a few from, I think, like a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. So we'll go through those first, and then we've got some from today. So thank you for those who ask questions. If you are wondering how to ask a question, on the days that we film, we put a box up on our Instagram stories. So if you're not following us on Instagram, then make sure you do, and you can ask the questions on there.
Yes.
So
this is not the Christmas special. However, it is filmed strictly after.
Hence why I'm like,
Finn's ruined himself with the Christmas hat. So I'm not sure what the turnaround difference is. It might be like a couple of days after, but this is literally like 2 minutes after we just finished the Christmas special. But it's not a Christmas special because Finn's hat is not near him anymore. Now. It's ways away from him. So yeah, I've got a few questions from like 2 weeks ago. I'll start off if you don't mind. I got asked by Josh Jenkins, arm wrestle. No, don't really fancy arm wrestling. Like this table is probably
one of us is going to get hurt.
Yeah, I definitely get injured. To be fair, Finn would definitely win. Joe Care Fit has asked me, one of my clients, if you could go back to being 16 again, what decisions would you change?
That's quite a good one.
Yeah, if it was like 10, I'd be like, Reece, do not trust your uncle. God, that's a joke. That's a joke. I don't have an uncle.
16.
Yeah, I would still train him. But
that's like just before you decide whether you go into college or an apprenticeship or uni.
When do you get GCSEs? Is that 16?
16, yeah.
Yeah. So I just turned 16, so it would have been like a few months.
You got some GCSEs?
Yeah, mate. Honestly, somehow, yeah.
Well done.
Honestly, mental. I got a uni degree as well, but I just had to lick the piece of paper for them to give me that.
God knows that.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I always say this, but like I never want to be like, oh, I wouldn't go to uni because of what I've. What's changed in my life from that. But if I could still have met Shannon, and because I wouldn't have met you if I didn't go to uni, I wouldn't have met Shannon. So there's loads of things that would have drastically changed my life. But the actual uni itself didn't really do much, and it just ends up being a big expense. Yeah. So I guess I would move to Loughborough and train and everything, but I wouldn't have gone to uni. Yeah. So I'd have still met Shannon, still met Reece. Yeah. What else? I'd probably, in those kind of years, I'd probably try and like be a bit more clued up in regards to money. Yeah. Because like at that time, like any money that you've got, you'd just spend on like shit that you didn't need. Either going out, like especially like 18, 19, like it'd be like I'd work and then go out at the weekend, or it'd be, just I feel like. If you were to manage your time and your money better at that age, like think how much more you'd have.
Oh yeah.
And like I always think as well, like the times that I know you still like play now and again, but like all the time that I used to spend playing like FIFA, if I'd have spent that time like working towards a business or something, like it's mental. But then also you need to enjoy that time as a kid.
Yeah. I think I really wouldn't change much because I was still training. I probably would say like stop caring about the little things. I've definitely like in the last probably growing up, like in like the last 4 to 5 years, I really don't give that much of a fuck anymore. But when I was like probably younger, I probably cared more, not about like what other people, but it was more so like me. I care a bit too much about things that like looking back, I was like, why did you even like give a fuck?
I feel like I probably like realised that at quite a young age.
Yeah.
Like I never really cared what anyone thought or cared
I never
about
did.
like.
But it was more
things.
like perceptions towards like, let's say if I had a big exam, I would stress out about it to the point where like, and I would end up not like, what would help me would be actually like revising, but I wouldn't. Yeah. But I'd be stressed. I was probably stressed because I knew I wasn't prepared.
But
like,
you learn from that.
Yeah.
I always say that to my clients, like when they like have a really stressful week and like, oh mate, I've had a really stressful week because I didn't manage this, I didn't do that, and I feel really shit about it. And I'll always say like the reason that you feel shit about it is because you know you could have done better. Yeah. If you'd have had a really stressful week because let's say there's a family emergency that you can't help and that's your priority, and let's say for example at work they force you to stay on because someone else had to call in sick. Yeah. That's not a stressful week. That's just like these things happened and I had to accept it.
Yeah, so this
but
is the
like
situation I'm in.
it's when it's like, oh, I feel really shit because I slept in through my alarm. And then I didn't prep my food.
Didn't do my cardio.
And then I didn't do my cardio, and I didn't do my steps because I was feeling bad about it. So I just sat and ate instead. Yeah. Like that's why you feel stressed.
Unless it's Boxing Day, it doesn't count.
Yeah, if it's just medium 1300 calorie, it doesn't.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't count.
It doesn't count if it's under 1363 calories. I think it was.
Yeah. Over fat bastard.
Yeah, over that is big cheat. Cheating on your diet.
Yeah. Right, you got some?
Jamie Jackson. Why is everyone trying to be the new once you're in, you're in?
Oh, I say, who's this? So you've got. Let's be real. So we've got Josh Croggan and Tom Stockton.
Yeah.
Both very sound lads.
Yeah, they are. We need to get them. We can get them both on. I was going to say we need to get Josh.
They're
on.
our rivals now. They're not going to. Josh would be like, sorry lads, don't know who you are. He wouldn't even reply to us.
Josh would 100% come on.
No, I know he would. But imagine if we messaged him, hey Josh, mate, do you want to come on the podcast? Didn't reply. We just like we speak to him in person. He's like, no, don't worry, mate. Don't worry about it. So I don't want to come on. We're rivals. We've had a few people that have like kind of done what we've done, but then also. People are allowed to like.
Yeah, we're not. It's not exclusive.
It's nothing, like,
we're the only podcast that exists.
This is nothing special. Like this is literally, other than the neon sign, it's incredibly.
Don't tell them that they'll leave.
Yeah, no, but it's just us chatting. It always has been. You know, it's not anything like.
I don't know. It wasn't through prep. It was you chatting.
Yeah, it was me chatting and Finn just going, yeah. But, yeah, and me thinking, how the fuck am I going to make this last an hour? Like, what the fuck do I say? So
what
Finn, yeah.
You're like, do you want to tell us about your week or something? And I was like.
No,
really.
no, it was about the gym, and you were like, so it was like the first session at Be Modified. I hadn't trained there, and I was like, oh, do I tell us like what the gym's like, how it is? And you're like, not really. Look on my Instagram. and the funniest thing is, like, I've said this before. I literally at the moment was like, oh, for fuck's sake. I was like, right, okay. What else can we talk about? And then Sam literally, Sam's filming me on the weekend, and he's like, Reece, mate, what the fuck did Finn say? What was with Finn? And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, when he was like. No, don't want to talk about it. And I was like, yeah, mate, it was bad. And like, I
think I was in that.
He listened to it, just that part. He was like, what the fuck?
At that point, I think I was in such a routine with the prep that it was like, I come and do the podcast, but that was it. As long as I'm here, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's the same. That was how I was for quite a while with the prep. It was like, just box ticking.
Yeah, ticking
like
box.
Make sure I do my cardio, do my steps, then I make sure I do all my check-ins before I drive over to do the podcast. Yeah. I was even doing like questions on the way to the podcast and everything. It's like, and I think by the time I got here, I was just like pretty trashed. And I was just like, let's just get it done.
As much as it is just sitting and talking, and like I liked it when I was prepping for just routine, but like I remember I did one like probably towards the end, and afterwards I was so tired, like it just from speaking for an hour. Like I literally like finished, and I was at home, and I might have been like a week or two out. I came back and I was like, I feel awful. Like, I literally couldn't even like format sentences because like,
it's
the
not
brain
it's
power.
not demanding or tiring in any way, but when you are that trash, like
staying alert and actually being present and like being able to talk. Like when you're doing a check-in, you can sit back, lounge, and just be like, all right, yep, cool, all good. You're a bit less energy, but when you're talking, you actually have to be constant in a conversation. You know, and you actually have to be thinking. Yeah. So like think about how like Finn, for example, is probably different. I end up just becoming a bit of a mess when it's just like someone will say a joke. I won't even get the joke because I'm like trying to listen and I'm like 3 seconds behind. It's like playing FIFA and you've got like red bar connection and just lagging all over the place. That's what like I'm like at the back end of a prep, where Finn's just a bit emotionless. So yeah, what was the actual question? What was it?
Why is everyone trying to be the new once you're new?
Yeah, because we've been slacking and people see a week.
Yeah, there was a gap in the market that we're filling again.
Yeah, so sorry guys, board shorts and banter.
Yeah.
Is it board shorts and banter?
I think so.
Yeah, fair enough. I like both of that. So, and there's loads of other ones that do podcasts. Right, what would you guys be doing for careers if you weren't involved in the fitness industry? So that's nothing sporty. Let's say no football. I can't use my uni degree. You can't use yours. Porn star. Yeah. Well, you got the ring for it, so you sound.
Yeah, to be fair.
No, realistically.
To be fair, based on if we're being realistic,
yeah,
I'd probably still be working in retail and I'd just be higher up.
Yeah.
Like, which is. Nothing exciting, but that's what I was doing when I was 18, 19 before I came to uni. I'd probably still be doing that.
Yeah, I reckon a YouTuber with my fantastic personality and sick gaming skills. I'd probably say like working for my mum. Like
shock.
Yeah,
mum's just living off your mum again.
Living off my mum, sorting me out a job.
Yeah, I think I probably like in being serious, I'd probably just be like high up in Next.
Yeah.
Because I was like already
co-manager.
I was already like the fucking dog's bollocks at Next anyway. So yeah, that's probably what I'd be doing.
You choose that over the cinema job?
Yeah, I quite like the cinema job, but I wouldn't have wanted to be high up at the cinema because they just didn't do anything. Whereas like I actually enjoyed working at the cinema.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think if I was to be high up in either of them, it'd have been at Next because I feel like there was more responsibility.
Yeah.
And I wear a cool suit every day.
Really?
Like if I was like high up at Next, I'd wear.
Yeah. You'd be the only one. Everyone else would be in normal clothes. You'd be walking out.
To be fair, I used to like that at Next. That I used to like dress smart. I quite liked that part of it. But now I can't think of it worse than having to like make sure I've got a shirt ironed, make sure I've got a tie.
Yeah,
like,
mate, there's a guy that I follow. Yeah, he used to be a coach. Sorry, he won't know. No one will know who this is. He used to be a coach, and he was a shit coach. and he now is one of those life coaches. Like, you know, and he dresses up in
Is he a shit life coach as well?
He's got like 7 likes per post. And I saw him and I was like, surely not. And he has his hair like, oh, this is probably giving it back. He has his hair like slicked, gelled, and like back, and then he wears a suit for fucking Instagram reels, and he sits in front of his laptop like, are you wanting to get the life of your your dream life? And I'm like, this is fucking embarrassing. But you know what? Like, this is so
sad?
bad.
What is sad though is that it actually does that
can generate some money.
It gets people,
you know?
And people will sign up to like some form of a deal where
made
it's like,
for money, 10-week project.
And it's like it's like 750 quid, but like I guarantee you'll earn it all back, and it's like most people won't get anywhere with it because they're probably a little bit lazy, and they don't put the work in. Right, the amount of times that I'll have clients like, or not even people who just have asked, like the same with people who ask on the podcast. You know, when people ask like how to be successful in coaching or how to get more clients, like. One of the best examples I can give is, when Josh and Noah came and stayed with me for a few days. Like Josh literally says that changed his life because he's like, I didn't realise how much more productive I needed to be successful, and how busy I needed to be, and how like on it I had to be. And he was like, and now look at Josh. It's like, so that's like, I know Josh has got a good physique and everything, which helps, but Josh works really hard. Like he's got a really good routine. He's really on it now. A year ago, he was struggling. It's like, so it just shows you that you actually have to put in some work. Don't just fucking hire a life coach.
Or hire a shit coach who failed,
and
then he's
hire
telling,
a shit life coach.
He's
That's even worse.
He's now telling people how to make it in life, and he failed at doing what you want to do. Oh god, Instagram doesn't make sense half the time. Sorry, mate, that's not anything personal.
Yeah, sorry if you're listening, even though we are not mentioning who it is. I don't know who it is. JB_training. Any concern for teeth health using cyclic or maltodextrin powders in intra?
God, got no teeth. That's one of them. I think
I would say
teeth,
no.
like sugar content.
I really wouldn't worry.
Like I feel like it's one of those where people see fluid and they think, oh my god, fluid. Okay, it's going to have carbohydrates, it's going to have sugars. Therefore, my teeth are going to be fucked. And it's like you're eating, let's say, cereal that has a lot of sugar. I'd more so be looking upon like the actual kind of sugar breakdown if it's a negative towards skin quality or stuff like that, or digestion, more than just teeth quality based off an intra-workout drink. If you're that concerned, use a straw. Like that's what I'd say.
Yeah, and also it's the same. Like it is like anything. Like if you are really that concerned, like go and see a dentist.
Yeah.
Like I know I don't mean to sound like a dick, but
no.
Like I am not qualified enough to go.
This
amount of cyclic dextrin or this amount of maltodextrin over this amount of time is going to be detrimental to teeth health. Like I don't know for sure, but I also would say like I highly doubt it. Let's say you're having between 25 and 75 grams of intracarb. I highly doubt that is really going to be that detrimental to your teeth health. It's not like you're having, let's say, 10 cans of Coke every day. Like, and again, if you're that concerned, like, I drink coffee through a straw like almost all the time because I don't want to be getting it all over my teeth. So like, if you are that concerned, use a straw. And also, like, if you think about like cola before like sugar tax was applied, like Coke, it was like 330 calories in a can. Like, there'd be a lot of people who drink 2 to 3 cans of that a day. Like, and that's going to be 1,000 calories of literally sugar. So mental, again, which is mental when you think about it, but it's easily doable. Like 3 cans of Coke a day, like. Most people,
when I was a kid,
normal,
probably like I never really drank that much fizzy drink.
I always had Pepsi Max.
But like I knew a lot of kids that would just go through cans, and that's like, again, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be teeth, like just ruining your teeth, but there's a lot of bad
the
things,
calories and the actual detriments to general health.
It's like a question being like, are you concerned about sunbeds and skin cancer? Like, there's things we do is probably not going to be too productive in certain aspects. But if you care that much, go and get professional help or do things to alleviate it, or just don't use it.
Yeah, you don't need to have an intra. Yeah, like if it was a concern.
Just have 50 carb through jam pre-workout. Oh no, jam's fructose. It's going to have some sugar breakdown. Oh no. Again, I'm not being patronising, but that's what I'd almost look for.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I wouldn't be stressing.
No. Most embarrassing moment in the gym. Been asked this a few times, haven't we? We've never really said like embarrassing moment. Any recent ones, mate? I know one for you. When they took the roof up and modified, and you were
it's
like,
not embarrassing.
they were ripping the roof up. Everyone was looking up at the roof, and Finn was like just looking down. And then like he gets up
contemplating life.
And he gets up afterwards. I think we were deadlifting that day. And bearing in mind, it had been like 2 or 3 minutes. They're just ripping up the roof, and Finn just goes to Jacob, "You turn the lights on, mate." And Jacob looks at me and thinks he's joking, and Finn goes, "No, honestly, you turn the lights on." And Jacob goes, "Look up, mate." Like, roof's being
That was not embarrassing, though.
And Finn just goes, "Oh yeah."
I had my headphones in so I couldn't hear it. Why would I know that they'd ripped the roof up? Sorry, I was focused on my session. I'm not one to just be stood there going, "Oh."
Yeah.
Like everyone else in the gym. Get on with your work.
Get on with your fucking... What are you in the
We're
gym
here for a reason.
Yeah, for a reason. Get on with it. No, that's not an embarrassing moment. That's just a funny one.
I don't think I've ever...
No, I don't really think I've ever been, like, really embarrassed. Like,
we've said this before, like, I don't get embarrassed because I don't care enough what people think. Embarrassment is literally driven from caring about what others think.
I've got one. The 200 kilo for 0. That was pretty embarrassing.
What, post-show?
Yeah, post-prep. Yeah, that was bad. Failing a 200 kilo deadlift for 0 reps. That was definitely one where I was like, that's quite embarrassing.
Yeah, but you weren't embarrassed. It was just like, fuck now.
It was more funny. I was like,
That's bad.
What the fuck? Like, that's awful. Yeah.
I can't think of anything else. When I got stuck when I like crushed my spine under the Smith machine, that wasn't ideal.
Oh, I remember that.
But I wouldn't say I was embarrassed. It was,
yeah.
I was just like, fucking hell, that could have been bad.
Yeah.
Luckily, it wasn't. I was okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry we don't have any good story. I mean, we've shat ourselves, but
yeah, but that's not embarrassing.
that's just normal.
That's what bros do in the gym together. But like he shits himself, I'm like, might as well. Oh, you shat his head, don't we? Yeah, same.
Yeah, same.
I did it 2 sets ago.
No, I did it at the start of the session. I did it on the treadmill.
Did it in the car though. Fucking hell.
Bodybuilding with CD, big Rasmus.
Yeah, Rasmus. Yeah,
good goal, mate.
Miracle.
Congrats.
Miracle came.
Where do you see yourselves in 10 years?
Dead.
Yeah, you will be
dead. I'm dead. I'd like to say I'm still alive. No, I will be alive. How old will I be? 35. No,
you'll be pushing it.
Yeah, pushing it. Maybe 5 more years at most. No, 35. I'd like to say have a gym, coaching extremely like high end, quite selective individuals. I'd probably like to say I have like 20 clients, like probably at most.
We've spoken about this, haven't we?
Really like high level. Got a few different things on the side of like having the gym, like so it's like almost like a whole like sort of home base.
A few pieces on the side, yeah.
Yeah, a few.
Sanaya and then a few pieces.
Yeah, a few side things. No, I'd like to say me and Sanaa will have a house, but that would be pretty apparent. Married, yeah, mental. Maybe a kid, yeah. 35. Sanaa wants a kid by like the time I'm like 30.
Do you want a kid though?
I'm not like. I wouldn't say no. But I wouldn't say yes. Like I'm very much like if Sanaa really wants a kid, I'd be like, yeah, I'd have a kid. I'd like a family, but I also think, would I really like to have a family?
I think that no chance you should have a kid.
Me?
Not anytime soon.
Not anytime soon.
With how you are.
What do you mean with how?
You need to
prioritise my health.
Grow up, mate. No, but time wise,
yes.
like, I don't have anywhere near enough time to have a kid, and you're the same. Like, it would be if me and Shannon were to have a kid, it would be so unfair on Shannon.
Yeah.
Because I'd really struggle time wise, or I'd have to massively neglect my business, which I wouldn't want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, what do? Do you
fuck
off that kid,
or do you fuck off the business? It's like an FK Physiques team off, which is my kids. Like,
mate, it is though.
More of a child than any child I could ever imagine. Yeah.
It's
like
true though, isn't it?
Kid comes out and you're like, you're not my first.
It's not
child.
really mine. You looked after it for 9 months. I've got nothing to do with it.
I ain't paying for it. Nappies, you can buy them. Imagine.
I'm not paying for it. I've got supplements to buy.
No,
actually, I haven't. Conte Fintech.
And then all of a sudden you're like, hey mate, hopefully all is good. Thanks for the check-in.
Just in the background, like, well, I don't know what the fuck that noise is, but I'm going to carry on.
Right, mate, ignore that. I don't know what that is. We've added 50 gram of carb. Imagine you haven't fed your kid for 3 hours.
I honestly don't think you should have a kid.
What? Ever?
I don't know, mate. Do you want to be what you had? You could easily have a kid and die straight away.
No, mate.
And that's what you have from you.
Yeah.
And then it'll be 20 years from now. There'll be 2 lads chatting.
Yeah.
And it'll be our kids.
Yeah.
But you've gone.
Yeah.
And I'll be there going, oh, I'd love to see this.
I'm going to copy my dad. Just die at 2. Yeah.
Your dad died at 2, did he? Yeah.
I died at 2. No, he died.
You died at 2.
He died when I was 2. So that's what I'm going to do. Have a kid when he gets to
Wait
2.
until it's 2.
No, outlive him. To 3 and then die. Be like, yes, outlive my dad. Gave my kid a way better upbringing than my own. Oh, it's got proper dark. Yeah, that's that. Where do you want to be in 10 years, mate?
I think very similar. Like we've spoken about before. I think like right now we're still obviously putting in a hell of a lot of time to coaching. I think in 10 years' time we will be more selective with clients, and it'll be where more of our time is spent on maybe content creation, maybe looking after a gym, maybe sort of more specifically down the route of like actually having more free time.
Yeah,
because you get to a certain point within coaching. Obviously, you can bring on assistant coaches and things like that. But you get to a point where you're just constantly coaching.
Yeah.
And like the only time that we have outside of coaching is either when we're training or like doing this.
Yeah.
So it's like I want to be able to actually have free time where I'm not constantly worrying about coaching or constantly worrying about like getting back to people, and I've got that extra time to put towards, again, like, you know, creating my own gym or having, let's say, more influence through content.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what we ought to focus on in the longer term anyway.
Yeah.
Because as much as I love coaching, we're not going to do it forever. Like, I'm not going to be, I mean, I could be, but I doubt I'd be 60 and coaching.
Yeah.
Whereas I could easily be 60 and have a gym, have like a successful social media that helps educate younger coaches and things. You know what I mean? Like, that's where we would be, like, rather than thinking like, oh yeah, I'm just going to coach forever. Because one, you end up fucking being like burnt out doing it. Imagine if we were still coaching, like, let's say in 20 years, if we were still doing what we're doing now,
way
like,
younger than us and way better than us with like the actual,
there'll
be better with
different
social
systems
media,
in place.
it'll be like, we just be the classic, like, you know how you look at some old coaches now and they send to everything on email and you're like, how the fuck are they doing that?
Yeah,
like, but that works for them because that's like
we'll
be doing lube, and then these people are doing like fucking 3D
AI,
AI check-ins and stuff, seeing them in person.
Yeah,
you know, like, so even though they're not
true.
in person,
Like
it's one of them where like everything progresses, and eventually, not everyone's going to be like a has-been, but you do get to a point where it's like in 20 years from now we'll have a wicked amount of experience. 10 years from now I think we'll be probably at our peak, I'd imagine, but like 20, 30 years from now, like, are you really going to have a young up-and-coming, let's say, prodigy who's 18 going to go, oh yeah, who's that 50-year-old coach that's like, you know, unless you're an absolute, like Hanny Rambod, for example, he could probably get hired in maybe 20 years. But not many online coaches are just going to randomly get like 3 Mr. Olympias on the same team, you know, and it's that's going to make them and complete them.
I think by that point, like having a gym, having that as your baby at that point rather than your coaching business.
No actual babies, kid wise.
Yeah.
Like, I'd have coaching, the gym, and then a third one that's just like, oh, this fucking.
I just think people don't really think enough about it.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times that people have a kid, and again, this is no dig at anybody in particular at all, but like the amount of times that people have a kid and then a lot of the time they're like, fucking hell, like I didn't realise how much work it'd be and how expensive it'd be and how much time. It's your entire life. As soon as you have a kid,
your life is over.
Your life as an individual is pretty much over. You are now that kid's dad or that kid's mum.
Yeah. And that's
like in my opinion, that's of course it's more important. Like you've brought that into the world, it's completely your responsibility. Like, and I just think that's a big responsibility that unless I knew 100% it's what I wanted, I wouldn't do it. Yeah. Even if I was like 1%, like I don't know, I just like, don't do it. Yeah, it's not fair.
I think that's good. It's a very mature sort of answer, mate.
Yeah, but I just think most people just do it.
Yeah, no, they just think, oh yeah, this is normal. Yeah.
Oh, go to school, go to college, go to uni, have a kid, settle down with someone that I don't like, get divorced, give the kid a shit life, wonder why it's fucked. There we go.
Crack on.
Yeah, that's true.
No, it is. Reel that up, Sam. That'd be a good reel. That'd be great.
If you fancy doing the fucking reels,
fancy doing the reels and actually, doing them and making it, maybe uploading them on the ones on your page.
Maybe doing the reels for us, Sam.
Yeah, that'd be great. Cheers, Sam. You got questions?
To be fair, we're joking because this is the first time we've actually done a podcast like at the time and the day that we should.
Yeah.
Will Bertolini.
Are these from?
Still, mate. Yeah.
I'm on to the ones this week.
Yeah, I got loads more than you.
No, crack on. Mate.
Opinion on less qualifier shows and show season starting earlier. So, like, obviously, like what the UKDFBA have done this year.
I like it. I think there's pros and cons.
Yeah, I like it to the point where I think like the finals will be really good.
Yeah.
But I also think that it does mean that a few people, like especially people who live further away, like the UKDFBA now have only got all their shows in the Midlands.
Yeah.
So people that live right up north or right down south got to travel quite a long way.
And also, like, let's say if you have like a certain thing on, let's say you're going on a summer holiday or whatever, and you wanted to compete earlier, and let's say for example you're looking at fight, like there's pros and cons. I look at it and think like natural bodybuilding UKDFBA, it'd be wicked if it was like PCA, but there's not enough money in it to be like PCA. PCA can run a fucking show every week pretty much, and they sell out when they fill out their capacity, they get tickets. UKDFBA isn't going to be like that, but I think from a quality standpoint, like I'm well looking forward to UKDFBA finals next year.
It'll be good.
I think that'll be class. I think it'll be really, really good. Like the standard will be really high. There'll be a lot of people that like prepping for it directly.
But the thing is, the standard will be high, but it'll be massively skewed. There'll be a huge discrepancy.
There'll be some
freaks,
standard. And then that's what I mean. The quality will be high across the people that are good, but there'll be a lot of people that have competed like before, and they may have done a few shows that are like they're not final really quality, but they're like, oh well,
but I don't have to worry about qualifying.
Yeah. Is that how it works? So if you could you compete with any regional? Would you be only able to do finals if you were to compete next year? Like,
You don't need to do any regional.
Yeah.
You don't need to qualify.
but could you do a regional if you wanted to?
There isn't a regional. There's
Yeah, because I was trying to read through. They weren't very clear.
So you
with
can. So
yeah.
there's the MBW, which is a first timers. I'm pretty sure it's a first timers and an open show.
Okay.
I've got it on here.
Yeah.
So you've got. So MBW, first timers, strictly first contest ever, and open divisions. So
Okay.
anybody can enter that.
Yeah.
But like, if you want to do first timers, you've got to be a first timer. If you're not a first timer, you'd be in the open classes.
Yeah.
Then you've got the novice championships, which is the 7th of September, but that is also the Heart of England. So it's like the same show.
Yeah.
So it's novice, all divisions. So obviously the first one is first timers and open. The second one is novice and open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's still
Yeah,
two
so
opportunities to
you
compete
yeah.
before the finals.
Yeah.
And then you've got the finals, which
Yeah.
you don't need to enter. You don't need to qualify for. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, like there is still opportunities there. You don't
Yeah.
have to be a first timer to do the MBW.
No, but I almost feel like if you were to be like, if you were to do the MBW as an open, like it's almost like, just wait. Like,
Well, it just depends, doesn't it? Like I have some clients who are going to be looking at doing like those earlier shows based on the fact that they have maybe got plans later on in the
that's what I
year,
mean, yeah.
or like standard wise,
Yeah.
we're thinking realistically you're probably not at the level of going to the finals yet, so let's
Yeah.
do the earlier shows,
Yeah.
like, which I think is a good idea. But yeah, I think it'll be beneficial for people who like similar to me, like who ended up and similar to Josh, and people
Yeah.
who like
stringing their seasons
planned it out
yeah.
to sort of compete in those latter shows with the goals of finals,
Yeah.
but then potentially, let's say, strung their prep out like this last year gone. It obviously does take its toll hormonally. That was their like primary reason that they were saying that's why they were doing it.
Yeah.
Which I understand, but then also like there were some shows, some UKDFBA qualifiers where it wasn't that busy. Like there's still like, don't get me wrong, there's a good amount of competitors, but like the main shows are always the last ones.
Yeah.
So they've almost just gone, seeing as the main shows are the last ones and people seem to be coming in their best in the last ones, let's just go for that.
Yeah.
So I do get it. But yeah, there's pros and cons, but also there's so many other federations and so many other available shows that it doesn't really make much of a difference. Like
Two Bros Natural, the peak of natural
pinnacle.
bodybuilding.
Yeah, unless you're like solely dedicated to the UKDFBA, then yeah, it's a bit like, oh, that's a bit different.
Yeah.
But you've got PCA chances to do shows there, naturals or untested.
Yeah.
You've got the WMBF,
Yeah.
which already do just 2 shows. You've got BMBF, who've announced their shows recently. You've got NFM. You've got FitX. Like, yeah, not all of them are natural federations, but that doesn't mean you can't go into it and still gain experience.
Yeah.
Like, still just a show at the end of the day.
Yeah. Unless you're in the open, like I'd argue, if you're a junior or a teen, like let's say I know there's no teen class in PCA, but like if you're pretty good and you're not an open bodybuilder who needs to be 100 plus kilos on stage, as a natty you'd be alright in like most. You could go to a FitX or a PCA show and you might get beat by people that are bigger than you, but you'd still be pretty competitive.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like...
Yeah, like if you're an open bodybuilder, like let's say you get AJ Morris versus a PCA open bodybuilder who's 110 kilos. Okay, it's going to look a bit silly. That being said, AJ Morris probably win on condition. Probably would beat you on condition. But like across the board, like you'd be sound. And I think again, like a lot of people just look upon UKDFBA. It's just that there's plenty of like shows to do. So basically, just don't run yourself into the ground like Finn.
I think a lot of
people, they won't feel sorry for you.
Yeah, I do think a lot of people are like, oh mate, like I've had clients like, what we're gonna do? Seeing as like this, and it's like, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Like, if you were somebody who was going to compete earlier on in the year anyway, then that's what we're doing. If you're somebody who was going to compete later on in the year, then we've just kind of got the one shot in that federation. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. And you say the one shot, there's still the Heart of England, which is only like a month before, so you can still do that.
Yeah. Right. 18-week prep, brackets, too short of time. Recommendations, preparation for comp prep. Like, I'm guessing he means, like, is an 18-week prep too short? Yeah. Massively depends on how you are, mate. You might be a fat mess who needs 24 weeks. You might be doing men's physique where you don't need to be as conditioned. You might be really, really lean and probably a 10 to 12-week prep could be doable. It also depends on, like, genetic, like, disposition regarding how you actually look. Like,
and how responsive you are to dieting. Like, I'll have some clients where I've strategically made their prep shorter because I know that they, in previous experience with like the pre-prep diet, they tend to lose body fat pretty easily. So we don't want to be ready too early, and then vice versa. Like you have people who find it a bit more difficult, so their preps can be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, depends on loads of things. Like it's a kind of a decent ballpark figure.
Yeah.
I'd say for most people, 16 to 26 weeks is probably a good shout. Like much shorter than 16 weeks, you're probably going to feel like it's a bit rushed unless you're starting really lean.
Yeah.
And much longer than 26 weeks, you're probably going to feel like it's dragging out.
Yeah.
So
and again, like I said, it depends on the class. Like my one for this year was like 15 weeks to the first show, and realistically, like my lower back wasn't shredded, but like I was really lean at like 8 weeks out. So like I don't really. If I was to do another men's physique prep, like I probably would like
do like 12
weeks. Yeah, like 10 to 12 weeks. I drop weight very quick, and it's not really that much of a struggle. So again, it depends a lot on the individual, and also at the same time, like how your food is in the off season, how you are. Like if you go into a prep and let's say for example you've gone up after Christmas, you've enjoyed yourself, your food's been all over the place, you haven't been doing any cardio, it's not in your routine, your steps have been some days at 10,000 because of work, some days at 2,000. You're probably going to take a month or two to actually just get some momentum.
The first few weeks it's a case of like actually establishing
where
a
you're
deficit.
at. And if that's the case, then like you're not going to be that good. Like it's going to take longer amount of time. But that's where it's a case of like the one thing I would say to anybody is never try and rush. Like just give yourself more time. My first prep was 22 weeks, and I needed that base of experience because I was like, okay, well, we'll see how things go. Yeah. Like nowadays, if I was to do a men's physique prep, it would literally be 12 weeks max. Like it wouldn't be that much time.
I think like now with the experience we've got, I'm more confident in, let's say, having somebody doing a 16 to 18 week prep if I know they're in a good start point and I've got data from before.
Yeah, I agree.
But if it's, let's say somebody was to approach me now and say, hey mate, I want to prep for, let's say, the UKFBA finals.
Yeah.
Like, even if they were in a decent starting position, I'd give them a lot of time because I've not worked with them before.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'd rather have a lot more time so that we can implement diet breaks and refeeds, and we can have weeks where things go wrong rather than sort of stressing. And again, if you don't know that individual, it's a lot more difficult. So.
And what's the worst thing? You're lean, so you can just bring your food up, or you can just hop into earlier shows.
Yeah.
Like, there's no negatives that come from really, like, unless you are absolutely skinned so early. But like, if you're getting to the point where you're like, oh shit, I'm actually quite close.
Jump into some earlier shows.
Bring your food up, pull cardio down, things that are probably actually going to contribute towards looking better. So yeah.
Jasper B.Fit was watching the older episodes, and is Rate Your Coach going to be a thing? We ought to do that. Yeah, we'll do like an anonymous kind of thing.
Anonymous questions.
Yeah, I think we could do Rate Your Coach, but his coaches will be Bertolini.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. You best give Will a 10 out of 10.
I feel like he's trying to say like something about Will.
Yeah,
Will, he's take that.
Can we do Rate Your Coach so I can send in this story about Will?
Yeah. Please don't mention who I am and who my coach is. Oh shit, sorry mate.
Yeah, we probably won't do like a Rate Your Coach thing because I don't want to be like outing people. Like, that's not what we're about. But we could do like an anonymous thing. So it's like if you've got any like
bad
coaching horror stories, I think that would be quite good. Yeah. And then if it's really bad, we'll just out them and be like, do not go to this person.
Yeah. The one that we heard about, like, hey mate, don't send me that voice note again. Do you know the one we were told?
Yeah.
Like, hey mate, thanks for sending this. Don't
ever send me a voice note like that again.
Yeah, don't ever send me a voice like that again.
To be fair, I said that to Josh yesterday. So Josh sent me a voice note and he was doing his blinds, like opening his blinds, and it was like in the background, and it was like the whole voice note. And I messaged him, I was like, mate, please never do your blinds on a voice note again. I was like, that was very annoying. I was like, it sounded like there was just ducks in the background. And then he messaged me back, he was like, I'm sorry mate, it was quite annoying. I listened to it back. Right, I've got a few more from 2 weeks ago.
Sound. Crack on, finish them.
Guess who this is from. I guarantee you, I reckon you'll be able to guess. Why does Reece never post his off plans? Is he that much of a cop out with them?
Oh God, one of your clients, Jack Morgan. Is it Jack Morgan? Is it? For fuck's sake! I fucking knew it would be.
Anything about food.
Anything about Jack. Food or me eating off plan. Anything. Like, why do I never post my off plans? Because I fucking eat off plan, bro. No, I don't really.
Yes, he does.
No, but I don't ever really think to myself. To be fair, I actually like objectively when it comes to meals. Like, I really like. I go out for a meal, but I never think to myself, let me take a photo.
Yeah, I think because Jack's in that post-show mindset, he still thinks like that.
I did have to prep.
Yeah, exactly.
I did during prep. Like, I just think you get to a point where you just don't give a fuck about food.
Yeah.
So, like, I could have a lovely meal in front of me, and I don't really think to myself, let me take a photo. Yeah. Like, when I
have to try and remind myself to still, like, post my food a little bit more, because I know people quite like the insight of, like, how's your food looking post-show, but I forget a lot of the time.
Yeah. So, like, post show, post prep, like when I went to Alicante, to be fair, actually, I didn't really post any food. I couldn't really eat because I was shitting myself constantly. But like when we went to Lanzarote, like I remember, like I think most nights I put up a photo of like the meal that I was having. But like I'm not gonna be. I don't really think to like you just get to a point where now I see people post food stories and I'm like, I couldn't imagine, like I couldn't care.
Yeah.
But like I remember seeing, like for example, Josh Campbell, he put up some of his Nando's chips and wraps and stuff, and I remember thinking to myself, because I was like post prep, I was like, that looks quite nice, and I actually gave a bit of a fuck about like I think I showed Sanaa, I was like, this looks like quite a cool meal, and like it looks like a Nando's. But now if I was to see that, I just wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I think it's a mindset, and
it's just where you're at. Like if Jack was to think back to peak off season, like he still likes his food, but he was very rarely posting about it back then. Whereas now he'll post like obviously a lot of his food because you're still in that mindset of like appreciating every meal. Yeah,
definitely.
Right, 2 more from last couple of weeks.
I'm happy that I got that.
Yeah, I knew you would. Thermitage Fitness, the real master. Where's the reels at, mate?
We ain't getting any more tags anymore. Thanks.
What's one thing you would tell you 10 years ago? So similar to what we had. So 16, we had that 16.
Now I'm 15.
I'm 16. Yeah. So we kind of answered that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
What's 15?
You're doing it again from 15.
Yeah, 15. Yeah, well, we'll do it differently.
Massively
I
different.
think my grandma died at 15.
Yeah. Tell you that she's gonna die.
Yeah, I'd probably be like, she's dying, bro. I'd be like, shit. She has terminal cancer. I thought that was going to happen.
Yeah.
That's usually what happens.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, terminal cancer, someone survives. Shit. That's news to me.
I don't know. I think, maybe around that time, again, just like telling yourself not to give a shit about little things or what other people think.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd tell myself to just carry on training, because I think around that age I'd stop training.
Yeah.
I think I trained from like 14 for like a bit of time, not a lot, and then had like a few years off and then started again. So I'd say like, don't stop training.
Yeah.
Ever.
Don't stop training, bro.
Don't stop training ever, bro.
Yeah, never
You'll make it. You'll make it.
You'll make it, bro.
Right, the camera's going to die. We'll see if we can get through this one. What's your opinion on the new research into long-length partials? This is from one of my new clients, Jack.
I hope this doesn't...
I did answer it on my story.
Yeah, I saw your answer, but I kind of I agreed with it. But I also think at the same time, like, there's studies that are done on people that aren't that strong. They're not going to be training to the same level of intensity when it comes to proximity of failure and all that sort of stuff. And in reality, it's like, I think stuff like this should already be included within training when it's appropriate.
Yeah.
But I don't think there should be a case where you only focus on it and you think, oh, I have to do this on every set. It's your last body part, last movement.
That's what I said.
Body part, crack on, feel free. But then also, like, we do it on leg extensions like early in the session if you feel good.
Partials aren't anything new.
No.
That's all. It's literally just long length partials. Like, it is basically doing partials. But I think what people are looking at is like, should we just do the lengthened range? Do we actually need to go into the shortened range?
Yeah.
And I would argue, like, just do both.
Yeah.
Like, so why not do a full set through a full contractile range, and then when you're failing, work through the lengthened, because you're not going to get it short anyway.
You can recover.
Yeah, and if it's safe to do so, like I wouldn't be like, do long length partials on a squat, like. So like literally, like I said on my story, if it's a movement where it warrants it, if you can do it safely, if you're again in a position to recover from it, if you're doing long length partials at the end of every single set, 2 weeks out, you're probably going to feel horrendous. But like, just chuck some partials in at the last set of each exercise that you're doing, or the last set of that certain body part. But these are things that we've done anyway, and people have done
for clients years ago with bands fucking doing like lengthened partials, but
well,
not like being like, you have to do this because of this, just because okay, cool, you can get a lot out of it.
If a client sends you a video and at the end of the set they're doing partials, like almost always I'll go, I'm happy for you to do partials at the end of the set, as long as you're feeling like you can recover from it, as long as it feels good. Like I'd never go, don't do partials, like unless it's, let's say, the first set of the first exercise, and partials aren't anything new. And I think if you're going to utilise long length partials, then I would probably just say do them at the end of, let's say, the last set on that exercise, or the last set of that certain body part within a session. If, let's say, you're somebody who can only train for like 45 minutes, then they definitely could be utilised across multiple sets, because your total volume is going to be lesser anyway. But again, it's almost like it's almost like a just new terminology. It's not really anything new. I guess the research is showing that there's benefit to partials, which we've probably not seen before. But almost how would you not know that anyway? Because you're taking it closer to failure, which we know is going to mean, realistically, it's going to create it's going to increase the chances that you're going to grow because you're training a bit harder.
Yeah. No, I think if you think about like old school big bodybuilders doing like a dumbbell lateral raise, at the end they do some partials. On a leg extension, they do some partials. Like, I'm not going to say just look at the big guys and copy what they do, but additionally, there is proof in the pudding. And I think again, it's very trendy where you hear something and it's like, you must do this. You know, it's the same, for example, when, you know, there were studies that like where at full range of motion, you're going to get more stimulus, and you had people doing excessive range of motion that was actually past what was suited. And if you weren't doing like, in 2020, we used to flat bench and incline press, and we were doing barbell presses. And this is when all the studies were full range of motion, this, you have to do full ROM. And everyone agrees, okay, do full ROM when it's appropriate, but it's based off your actual individual mechanics. And it was like a trend where if you weren't doing full range of motion, if you were coming half an inch off, all stimulus gone. And it was like, now it's always like, you have to do lengthened partials, and like the amount of people that mention it to me, and it's like, this should be involved in your training when appropriate.
I think as well, you know? Like, there's a lot, there'll be new things that come about, new trends and things like that, but like, the basics will never change. Like, eat enough protein, get enough sleep, train hard, stick to movements that feel good for you, that you enjoy, that you can progress. Don't overthink it past that. Like, even like with new exercises that come about, people will just try these new exercises because they've seen other people doing it, and it like, they'll be like, oh, it just doesn't feel good for me. Don't do it then. Like, it's really that simple. Like, if it just really doesn't feel good, if it's making you basically get injured on a weekly basis, like, you don't need to do that. Like, there's plenty of other things. Like, we always say, there's no must do exercises, there's just must do movement patterns. So if you don't like doing, let's say, deadlifts, like, there's still plenty of variations where you can still target your erectors, your glutes, your hamstrings. Like, you don't have to do them. There's plenty of other things you can do. But if you don't do deadlifts, you're a massive pussy.
Yeah, massive pussy.
Massive